Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Brian Crombie Radio Hour on Saga 960. I come to you every Monday through Friday at 6 o'clock on 960 AM, and I get to interview some fascinating people that have got stories to tell and some suggestions on how we should be living our lives, whether it's politics or economics or whatnot. And I'm going to have an interesting story for you tonight because I'm joined by a really quite impressive lady. Barbara Devine is her name, and she runs a company called Impact and Performance. Barbara, how are you? Welcome to my show.
I'm doing great. Thank you for the opportunity.
My pleasure. So tell me a little bit about why you got to the situation where you're running this company called Impact and Performance and what you're trying to do. How are you trying to impact people's performance?
Okay, well, thank you very much. This is my passion, so I can talk about this forever. But I'll give you a little bit of my background. I graduated from university and started out in a sales position, knocking on doors, and thought if I'm going to be in sales, I'm going to do my best. And I tried. Kept trying things, practicing, took every sales course, and basically through my career of three decades, I went from a sales rep to a director of business solutions at a very well-known company here, Rogers, in Toronto. So I have a full scope of selling, leading people, hiring, coaching. But all the way along, I've had this inherent interest in studying people. So I've read everything, I've done research on people because, what we find is the most successful people are not necessarily the most educated, but they have something about them. So, what is that? And it all boils down to how they present themselves. So there's a whole science behind that. So what I've done is I've studied what science tells us about people, like how to be successful, how to present yourself. And it doesn't have to be in business. It could be, for relationships or, if you want to get that promotion, and really how to present yourself to the world so that people will perceive you in a positive way. So really what my passion is, and I wrote a book about this called Image is Everything, because I really believe in this and science will back everything that I share with you, is that it's all about perception. There's science tells us that we have this inherent human judging process. So when we meet someone, we will automatically judge them and we put them into a category, and this is like fact. And if you say, well, I don't really do that, you do. It may not be conscious, but you do it subconsciously. So we know, what people look at. So it's body language, it's eye contact, and things like emotions, people can sense, they're contagious. So what my whole passion, my story is, and what I do in my coaching programs is to just share what we know about human behavior, the science of people, so that you can take that information and apply it to your life, whether it's, like losing weight, getting a promotion, running a business, it's all the same rules. So it's just sharing information so that you can be your best self. And, it really gives you the opportunity to be run at your full potential.
Fantastic. Sounds fascinating. And you also do, coaches and coaching and podcasts as well?
Yes, I do workshops. I'm doing them obviously now virtually. And actually, I'm one of those lucky people with, unfortunately with COVID, there's a lot of people, obviously, we're all suffering socially and financially, et cetera. But some businesses are thriving. And I happen to be one of them because with COVID, companies have realized that, yes, productivity went up initially when people were working at home with COVID, but now we're starting to decline. So productivity is going down, employee engagement is going down. And that's because, again, knowing human behavior, we're social beings. We want to be together. We want to collaborate. We want to be with other people. We want to be able to connect. So now that we're all isolated, we're suffering. We're getting into some bad habits. We're losing motivation. We're kind of doing things just by routine. And people, there's a research study done recently by TELUS International Research that says 68% of people want some self-development training now. They want those virtual workshops. They want to connect with their teams, their people. And it's really important now, especially for managers, to stay connected with their staff or whoever reports to them and continue those one-on-ones, because people are starting to begin to feel very isolated. So it's really important for businesses and leaders to make sure that they're really being aware of their employees, how they're doing, and really take on a whole new leadership style of empathy. So that's why, like with not just me, but a lot of this self-help, self-development is a really good opportunity now for businesses to engage, because their people need it.
We're chatting tonight with Barbara Devine, a self-help image consultant and coach, author of a book. She runs a company called Impact and Performance. We're going to take a break and come back more with Barbara in just a minute. Stay with us. Welcome back to the Brian Crombie Radio Hour. We're chatting tonight with Barbara Devine, and she's got a business called Impact and Performance. And I got to read you sort of the tagline that she's got on her website: understanding the science of people and knowing how to apply this knowledge is where your power and success lie. The science of people. What is the science of people, Barbara?
Okay, so the science of people is the science of human behavior. It's how we think, it's how we act. And because we have this part of our brain called our primal brain, which is at the base and the back of our head, has never changed since the beginning of time. It's there for our safety and security. So we judge people. We are always taking in information. We take in 2 million bits of information per second, and we can only consciously process 120 bits of information. So a lot of the information is going into our subconscious mind. A lot of our decisions we make are made subconsciously. So it's really bringing to people's attention how we think, how we judge, what body language says about somebody. If your body language doesn't match your voice tone, people believe your body language. These are just different laws of science, laws of people, and it applies to everybody. It doesn't matter if you're male or female or what your nationality is or where you're from, anything. It's the laws or science of people. So what I share is science. It's laws. They apply to everybody, but make you aware of them so that it'll bring some awareness to you when you're in a social situation, and what your body language is saying, or your eye contact, or how your mood is reflecting into your body language that other people can sense. So it sounds kind of voodoo-ish, but it's really
it does sound kind of voodoo-ish, and it sort of suggests that so much is based on these these first impressions that one has to rely upon, and is that what we really want? Don't we want to be known for more than the first impression?
Well, our first impression, absolutely. But our first impression is only to get that positive feeling so that you come across well, so that that person doesn't feel threatened by you. Then your knowledge and your education and everything will shine through. But the first thing we want to do is come across as, comfortable, honest, and non-threatening, because then people will listen to us. See, we can judge. There's 4 categories of judgment. And if I came on your show or I met you and you felt subconsciously even threatened by me, if I was a salesperson, you wouldn't buy from me. If you were interviewing me for a sales position or any kind of position, you wouldn't hire me. So all I'm saying is that, we jump back here. I've got a great education. I'm super smart. But you don't think of those social skills, those connection skills. You have to connect with people first, and then the rest will carry you through.
You said there's four different types of judgment. What are the 4 different types of judgment?
Okay, so one is positive, so you're a friend, and that's what we all want to achieve. The other one is a foe. So obviously, I don't trust you. It could be your body language or whatever, but that's not a good thing, because I'm not connecting with you. If you were like public speaking and I had a bad feeling about you, I wouldn't listen and I wouldn't believe what you're saying. The other one is you're indifferent. So you're kind of like, I don't really know about her. I'm going to give her a little bit more time before I make my call. So you don't really care about me either way. So if I was, again, speaking or presenting, you may take some information in and, but you're still not totally connected. And the fourth one, which I don't normally get into, is a potential sexual partner. So that's kind of the fourth category. So, in business, obviously you want to come across as positive because then you come across as credible, competent, trustworthy. So it doesn't really matter so much, like if you're in sales and someone's buying a pair of, Nike shoes and they're at a, a renowned retail store. But for people selling, insurance and finance and lawyers where there's big decisions being made here, you want to trust that person. You want to feel confident with them. So it's so important for them to connect with them and then start.
Okay. So you say that there's friend, foe, indifference, and sexual interest. And clearly, if we're in business, we don't necessarily want the sexual interest one. Yeah. We certainly don't want the foe or the indifference one. So if we want the friend one, what do we do? Are there recommendations that you make in this regard?
Sure. One of them is your appearance. So, and usually when you talk about image, people think about, it's clothes or, fashion. It's not. It's
really? I just put on a jacket for you because I thought you were going to say I had to wear a jacket.
I noticed that. I was like, where's he going? And then you came back with a jacket. That's so funny. So appearance is big. For sure, but it doesn't mean style and trends. It means that your clothes fit you. That's the most common faux pas with us in our clothes. You know how we can tend to maybe put on a few, especially this time of year, but make sure your clothes fit you and that you look like you put some care and attention into your attire. So if you're managing a warehouse in Mississauga, you don't have to dress like a Bay Street lawyer. But you dress for the environment you're working in, but take care. Your shoes are clean, your hair is neat, and you look like you care. Because what people do subconsciously is they transition what they see in your appearance to your skill set. So if I have a dated suit on, you can transition that because our brains are actually super lazy, believe it or not. And you will transition that to, wow, she's going to be a lazy worker. She's lazy.
So a up-to-date clothing and it's got to fit.
Yeah. So you don't want, yes. And it doesn't.
Okay. Now, one of the challenges that I think a lot of people have is in this virtual Zoom life that we seem to be, living, whether it be Zoom or Microsoft Teams or, a whole bunch of other packages that have come out. Do we dress like we did in the office with a jacket and tie, or do we put on sweatpants and sweatshirt?
Well, your one thing too, I want you to remember is what you wear reflects onto your mood. Okay. So you have sweatpants on, those baggy t-shirts and whatever. It does affect your mood. You are a more relaxed person and your body language will reflect that as well. Do you have to get all dolled up to work at home? No, but you should have, be still professional looking. So maybe you won't have the tie on, but you'll have a shirt and maybe a blazer. But this is business, right? So you really can't let down your guard and get lazy. People want to, you want to look like you care that you're on that call, that you care about the people you're talking to. And, if I showed up, on a call, Zoom call, with sweats on, talking about image, like hanging back on my chair, you'd be like, what is she talking about? She doesn't even want to be here. So, dress for the environment, but just don't get too lazy about it. So appearance is one thing.
So we talked about appearance and it's we're up-to-date things and that fit and that I guess are professional or appropriate for the occasion. What else?
Correct. Okay, another thing is body language. You want to sit straight up, again, hunching over and back. Now, not only do you have a jacket on, but now you're sitting up very straight.
See, I'm listening to you.
You are, you're doing very well. So you want to sit up straight because, when you're slouched over like this, it's a sign of laziness or disinterest. And again, these are messages that your body's sending subconsciously to other people. That's what they're seeing. So most, posture and eye contact. So when you're talking on a Zoom call, and it's really irritating for me, like when I'm presenting and there's people, I can see their faces and they're looking away or they're writing. It's very distracting and really not courteous for me as the speaker because they're not paying attention. So, get your coffee, have your book, whatever it is. And when you're on a call, make sure you keep your eye contact on the screen and dedicate attention to that person speaking. And, sometimes lean in if you're really interested, or, raise your hand if you want to ask a question, or even kind of tilt your head like you're really listening. Like, don't exaggerate it like I just did, but so there you go. So just look like you're interested and you're listening, because it's really offensive to the person who's presenting or someone that's speaking. So Zoom calls are still really important, your body language, your appearance as well. So there's a couple
how did you come about to learn all this? You spent what you say here in your resume is 35 years of successful sales executive and training experience, focusing on the science of success. Was it from that, or did you do a whole bunch of extra leadership studies, or what?
No, I'm a civilian. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a psychiatrist or a psychologist or anything fancy like that. I've just studied research studies. I've studied it because I find it very, very interesting. And, throughout my career, I love, I'll do my own hair for a second, but I won a lot of awards, and it was in technology. Was I the smartest, person in the room? No, I'm not even really that technical. But what I did was I had this power to connect with people because they felt comfortable with me, and then we would get into conversation, and then we could get into this kind of their problem solving and, come up with a solution. And I've also coached a lot of people because I've seen them be, really smart people, but they don't have the social skills. And sometimes you'll find like some professionals like lawyers, they're so smart, but they can't bring in clients because they don't have those social skills. It's just something that you have to practice. Some people are a little better than others, but it's really those social skills that are so important that we don't think of anymore. And I really worry about the younger generation that have their heads down all the time with their phones.
Yep.
And, I've done coaching for co-op students for interviewing, and, it's like, oh my gosh, they just don't have a clue. That being a boomer, I mean, we had to do that, right? We knocked on doors to sell, or, we had to go to interviews. There wasn't, the internet and sending resumes. You went and knocked on doors. So we had a better or an easier go of it to develop these social skills. And now, everything is send an email or do this and do that. And social skills are so important. And and that's why I say in my book, things they don't teach you in school, they should teach this in school, because we're doing our students a disservice.
A disservice, right? We teach them how to use technology and sometimes how to write, but not necessarily how to communicate with people, and certainly how to connect with people. Now, you've got another interesting thing in your description, and you call about leadership presence. I used to do some political consulting, and the statistics are really quite fascinating. A lot of people will judge the person that they're considering voting for and decide whether they're trustworthy or not based on the way they look. And they make that judgment according to the statistics in 15 seconds. So how do you establish leadership presence if you've got like really 15 seconds to do it?
Well, actually, Brian, you're bang on, but now they're saying less than a second. And Mark Bowden is a world-renowned body language expert, and he wrote the foreword to my book, Image is Everything. And it is actually less than a second. So that just goes to show you, I don't have time to tell you as a political candidate how great I am. You're going to look at me, at my appearance and my body language and my eye contact, and and make that judgment call. So that's why, I always say the power isn't in your words. You don't even have time to say anything, and you've already been judged. And unless it's on the phone, then your voice will be judged on the phone. Like, do you sound like you're, energetic or you're interested? That's a different story. But when you meet someone, it's a visual, instant thing. And that's why, people don't pay attention to eye contact and their body language and their hands, anything. So that's why I'm trying to get my message out. I'm not even a writer. I guess I am now because I wrote a book, but I wanted to get my message out because it's such it's a game changer. It's the core to your success as an individual, as a business owner. As a business owner, your people are your brand. So, what are your image are your people giving out? So again, it's instant and it's so important. And it's very
you had 35 years of sales experience. You did some coaching, etc. And then you wrote a book. What motivated you to write the book?
Because I wanted to get my message out there. And I didn't want to do it. It took me a year to write it in my office, which I'm a social person. I like getting out there, but I had to kind of seclude myself for a year because you can't just, I'm going to write a book and write a few chapters and then come back in. I've got 10 minutes. I'll write a little more. Because then you got to think, okay, what was my point? What was my mindset? What fits here? And then start writing. So that took me a year. I also self-published as well, which took me another year. And the reason I did it is that people would ask me to. They'd come to my course and say, I'd like to teach. You have a book that I could read. Or I was recommending other people's book. And Mark Bowden, by the way, is a great author as well. He's in Toronto. So I thought, well, you know what? If I want credibility, I should, and I have a story to tell, I should write it. So I did.
Okay, so we've talked about image. And the four judgments and dress and up to date and fitting. We've talked about that, clear few couple of seconds, whether it be 1 second or 15 seconds that you have to make a good impression. We talked about the voice has to be energetic and excited. You talked about sitting up straight. You talked about wearing the appropriate clothes. What else are we going to find out about in image from your book?
Okay, I think one of the surprising thing is that your image is actually and it is an exterior reflection of what's going on inside. So I can't be really nervous. I can't have bad habits. I can't, not eat well. So there's definitely a health and wellness component. I put a nice suit on and wash my hair and go out. You've really got to pay attention, eat well, sleep, and really assess what your habits are, because believe it or not, on average, 40% of our day is just habits. They're automatic things we don't even think about. So if we're not achieving what we want, we're not achieving our goals, what are we doing in that 40% of our day? Because if our habits aren't, contributing to our goal, they're sabotaging us. So
hold it. This is really good. If our habits aren't contributing to our goals, they're sabotaging us.
Yes.
Okay. That's powerful.
So if you, for example, if you're not eating well and your health, if you don't eat well, you may not have the energy, you may not be sleeping as well, you may have, be not feeling well. If you're really overweight, you may be, prone to diabetes, etc. But, you can't feel terrible on the inside, whether it's your body or your mind, and come across in a positive way, because people judge you on what they see and sense. So if you're going in, oh, hi, Barbara, great to see you, and you really aren't, I'm going to kind of feel that, whether it's subconsciously or not, I'm going to sense you and what you're thinking of me. So if you want to really come across in a positive way, you have to look at your habits, your wellness. Are you eating? Are you properly? Are you, spending, 8 hours a day on Netflix? Are you, getting exercise, like even getting up and stretching? So we have to take care of not only our mind, but our body. And if we do that and take care of ourselves, there's a huge component of that for image that's so important that we don't think about.
Barbara, remind us what your book is called.
It's called Image is Everything. It's a science-based strategy for success. They don't teach you in school. And it's on Amazon.com right now. And that's it. And also my website is Impact and Performance. briancrombie.com. And if you want to message me or if you have any questions, I'd be happy to hear from you. And that's me.
Sounds fantastic. I think I'm going to have to go out and get this book. It sounds like something I need to listen to. I really appreciate it. Barbara, thank you so much for joining us tonight and telling us about your book, Impact and Performance. The Image is Everything.
Yes, is the book. Yes.
Image is Everything, available on Amazon and on your website. And your website is what?
Impactandperformance.com.
Impactandperformance.com.
I also have my next virtual training session starts on January 4th, and it's 7 weeks, 7 modules consecutively. If you're interested, you can check it out.
Image is Everything. And we've got a couple of seconds to make an impression. And the impression you're going to make is going to create one of 4 judgments: friend, foe, indifference, or sexual interest, according to Barbara. That's give us all some thoughts.
Not just according to me, according to the experts.
Thank you so much for joining us tonight.
The best of the best.
We're going to take a break and come back with another guest in just a minute. Stay with us.